Marketer of the Day, Episode 607, Alignment, Divine Purpose, Fear of Missing Out, and Akashic Records with Kay Sanders.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Marketer of the Day podcast. And I have a question for you. Do you want more momentum in your life, in your business, in all the things that you have going on? And more importantly, do you want to create that success that is aligned with your divine purpose? Well, if so, then you're about 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000% going to want to sit up and pay close attention and turn down all distractions and pay attention to our interview today with Kay Sanders, because Kay is known as the creator of possibilities, and she's an intuitive business coach. She's a certified Akashic record consultant and an international best-selling author, and she helps conscious entrepreneurs find that missing piece to create momentum in their business so they can turn their passion into a successful and thriving business that is in alignment with their divine purpose. And we're going to unpack what all that means. And if you listen to today's episode and you're super duper blown away with what Kay has to say, then you have a bonus as well, because we met about a year ago, and you can check out Kay's previous appearance at marketeroftheday.com/340, where she talked about how you can niche down, find your target market, set up your online presence. But today we're going to be talking about how to get over your struggles and find that divine purpose and have that fulfillment and have fun and make some money and accomplish things and all that comes along with it. So, Kay, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back again, Robert. It's great to be here.
Yeah, always good to revisit and see how things have evolved. So how have things been with you lately? What's the latest news?
Well, a lot has changed since the last time we talked. From like my business has grown in or moved into a little slightly different direction, where now I'm embracing my divine purpose, and which I was resisting for a very long time. But yeah, a lot of things have changed where, I released another book and, met some amazing people along the way. Just the offerings that I've been doing, that I've been offering to my clients have changed. But yeah, just a lot of great things have happened in my life that puts me into alignment with my own divine purpose and the purpose of my life or my business, to help, the right kind of people and help them the right kind of way, which I was helping a lot of people before, but now it's really more in alignment. And, that's why, we're going to be talking about this today. It is such a big step when you get into alignment. And that's what's been happening for me is really over the last year. I have moved into alignment with my divine soul purpose to really help more people in a more meaningful way.
Awesome. Well, that's always good. I mean, it's one thing to help yourself, but then to help others and to, leave the world a little bit better than you found it and all that good stuff kind of makes you feel good. So you mentioned a few terms here, and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page and that most importantly, like I understand it. You mentioned this term of alignment and then this concept of divine purpose. And I think I've heard of these sorts of things before, like your reason for getting out of bed in the morning, or finding your calling, or finding the reason that you were born, and all those sorts of things. But I'm not really sure if that's exactly what you're going for. So can you kind of explain to us, when you say alignment, what does that mean? And when you say divine purpose, what does that mean?
Yeah, you basically summed it up. Divine purpose is really what you are meant to do in this lifetime. Really what gets you up in the morning, what gets you excited, what, fulfills you, and, where you really serve in a meaningful way, the way you're meant to serve, and one of the things is alignment is the same thing. Like if you are taking actions, if you are align yourself with that purpose, because there's so many entrepreneurs that are really struggling with creating a successful business, or just, living a meaningful life, because they're doing things that they think they should be doing, but it doesn't really feel good on a deep level. I see so many people who take certain actions because they think it's the right thing to do, because other gurus talk about this is what you need to do to grow your business, to get out there, and yada, yada, yada. But it's simply not in alignment. And I really don't believe in those cookie cutter approaches, because when you are not in alignment with who you are, with what really feels good for you, what really lights you up, no matter how hard you're going to try, you're going to keep hitting that wall. And the funny thing is, I actually just sent out an email this morning, to my list about this, because if you're really not in alignment with, whatever you're meant to do, whatever lights you up, you are going to hit that wall, because you're going to do all the grinding, all the hard work, all the doing, and nothing is going to get you the results that you want. So where you're going to be sitting like, oh my God, what's going on? Why am I struggling so bad? And for me, it was the same thing and that's why so much has shifted for me over the last year, because I was not in complete alignment with what I was supposed to do. I was resisting the spiritual aspects, like the Akashic records. I was very in a lot of resistance because, sometimes when you do something that is really in alignment with who you are and what you're meant to do, it may be scary, because oftentimes we choose things that keeps us safe, right? That keeps
Right.
us safely within our comfort zone. But that's often not what we are meant to do. So stepping into that, and that was like the biggest challenge for me, is stepping into claiming that I am an Akashic record consultant, not just a business coach, but I'm actually the intuitive side. I'm embodying that. I'm including that into my business rather than having it as a separate thing. That was a very big challenge for me. But for me, it was like growing my business had always been a rather of a challenge. Like I was doing all the right things, all the things that people teach, I was like following all these big gurus. I did what they were saying. I spent so much money in programs, doing the things that they were teaching, but it was pulling teeth in my business. And it was not until I was in alignment, like really embodying my divine purpose, my spiritual aspects, like really diving into the woo-woo side that a lot of people might feel a little too far out there, but really stepping into that and saying, you know what? I have gifts. Why not use it? Why not embody, why not include that into my business? And ever since I did that and really focus on the Akashic records and making that my main thing that then leads into the business coaching, guess what? Everything's starting to flow easily. People come to me. They just buy it from me like that, where I sit there like, what just happened? Where did that come from? Right? And that's because I stepped into being in alignment with what I meant to do. And I see so many entrepreneurs that really struggle with that because they are not completely in alignment with what they're meant to do. They take actions that are not in alignment with, how they are, who they are, and just, their divine purpose. So I hope that makes sense with the being in alignment. It's really like being in alignment, meaning like being on the same page with what you are meant to do. And the divine purpose is really what you mentioned earlier. What lights you up? What gets you up in the, what helps you get up in the morning saying, okay, I'm starting a new day. What possibilities are there for me? So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, you're giving us a lot to chew on and think about already. And I think that, we go through lots and lots of different transitions and phases in our lives. And sometimes it's easier to look at others and see where they're struggling and to sort of relate to those sorts of things. And I think that we've all had those sorts of friends who it seems like maybe they're living someone else's life, or they're living that deferred life. They're not really happy. They're in the job they hate, the career they hate. They don't seem to be very authentic. They're waiting for things to pay off, and then having that cognitive dissonance of, saying one thing and doing another. And it just, I don't know, thinking about all those sorts of things makes me realize that life's too short for all that sort of stuff, right? Life's too short to think that, things will be better later, or, I'll get around to that later. And I mean, it sounds to me like the time is now. We need to, if we're unhappy, we need to make the change sooner rather than later, because we never know if we're going to run out of time, and we need to, take those actions, and, thinking about it will only get us so far. So if people are stuck in this rut, or they're struggling, or things aren't quite right, what sort of things should they be doing to kind of dig themselves out of this hole that they found themselves in?
Well, first of all, it's like really realizing that, that hole that you're in, if you choose, because I mean, everything comes down to choice. Every moment of the day, you make choices that lead you in a certain direction. But the beautiful thing is you can always change your choice. You can always make different choices. So the first thing would really be like looking at what do you rather want? Because there's so many possibilities out there, because oftentimes the reason why we're stuck in this rut, or, in that job that we really hate, is because we are afraid of stepping outside of our comfort zone, like leaving that job. And I'm not saying go out there and quit your job right now. I'm not saying that, but, just taking the necessary steps that will help you move away from that job. Because if you stay in a job or in a situation that you really hate, that is dissatisfying to you, guess what you're going to keep attracting? You're going to keep attracting the same of that, because you're in a vibration that that brings in more of that to kind of, keep you in that same situation. So what you want to do is like really look at like, okay, this is where I'm at right now. I really don't like that. What do I rather want? Where do I rather want to go? Like it can be starting a business, getting a different career, going to school, whatever it is. And then really making a choice that you're going to trust that everything will be fine. And really take that next step in moving forward because like I said, we all want to stay safe in our comfort zone because, stepping into our purpose, stepping into something that unknown is scary as hell. Sorry, my language, but it is scary. And that's what often keeps people from actually making that step. Because, if you think about, quitting your job and going into business, job equals security. You get your steady paycheck. You probably have benefits. You don't have to worry about, getting clients or making money or whatever. You have that security. You get the benefits, right? You get the retirements and stuff like that, or you save for retirement. When you start a business, all that is gone. There is no security because every month can be different. Either you're going to struggle for clients or you're going to have to really grind or, there's just not so much security there until you really build up your business. But even then, there is not really the security that you have in a job. And so many people, they choose security over what would actually fulfill them. And, stepping into that, it being different, making choices that would set them apart. Like I know a lot of, entrepreneurs, like, or those non-entrepreneurs, they try to talk entrepreneurs out of, why are you even doing it? Why don't you just go back to get a job again because it's safe, right? Because they have that mindset of an employee, not the mindset of an entrepreneur. But, just stepping into that and really embodying that and saying, you know what? I have a vision for my life. I know there is so much more possible for me. And I'm going to claim that. I'm going to step into that. No matter what, I am going to go after what fulfills me. Because when you get into alignment with what you really want, what really lights you up, what really fulfills you, then it doesn't matter if you're not going to make a whole lot of money. It doesn't matter if you give up your security. It doesn't matter, how hard you have to work, because guess what? It fulfills you so much that it really pays out. And that journey to getting to where you want to be in full alignment with your purpose, with what really lights you up, that's the best thing that you don't really get in a job. So, really, looking at where you're at right now, where you want to be, and then really making the decision to go after that and really make the commitment, set clear intention that this is what I'm going to do no matter what. I find a way and everything will happen in divine timing and the way it's supposed to happen. And really just trust in that. I think that's like really the first step in, moving forward onto your path of, finding your purpose.
Awesome. I love it. Trust that it will work out. So that way you have that confidence to do what needs to be done. You have the drive to keep on persisting if things get tough. And I mean, the way that you describe, us entrepreneurs creating a business and leaving that job security behind, I mean, it sounds crazy the way that that you list some of that stuff, right? You give up the that easy money. You'd give up those regular hours. You give up that consistent income, the safety. But then it's a lot more fun to play, like to go on the what if journey and go on the adventure and to take those risks. And I saw something just yesterday that was something like, well, if your choice is between working 40 hours a week the rest of your life versus maybe spend 5 years working 80 hours a week to have that possibility of being set for the rest of your life or being able to live this fantastic life. I mean, you'd be crazy not to take it. And then if you don't take it, then you might look back decades later and wonder what could have been if only when you had the chance you jumped on it. So so the next thing that this makes me kind of wonder or kind of move to here is, so you've been saying how it's important for us to have that trust, to take those risks, to have that vision, and to not necessarily quit your job instantly, but maybe have a plan or have that exit strategy. What's the real importance of having that purpose? Like, let's say someone out there is, an accountant, and they never really wanted to be an accountant, but they said, this is where I can get my paycheck from. And can't they just, work this job they hate, take that home the paycheck, and then when they're in retirement, have fun, or have a hobby they have fun? Like, why is it so important to be completely on purpose with your business?
Because that's what makes you get up in the morning. Like if you just gave a really great example. So, looking at that accountant that really hates his job, do you really think this accountant would go out there and grind and do what he needs to do to attract clients, to get the clients, to do the work he needs to do, to really have that stable income, to make a whole lot of money and take his business to the next level? Probably not, right? Because everything around being an accountant, probably he despises, he hates, he doesn't like. But whereas if you look at, like, let's say he would love being an accountant. He loves playing with the numbers. He loves helping people get their accounting right. That person is going to be so fired up. When he talks about what he does, you can feel his passion. You could hear it in his voice. People are going to be drawn to that. But if you have an accountant that talks about, yeah, I'm going to do accounting, I can help you with your numbers. Do you feel the passion there? No, right? So would you want to work with someone that really doesn't like what he does? Probably not. So when you choose something that really lights you up, because being an entrepreneur is not easy. I mean, it is one wild roller coaster ride where you have days where you say, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why don't I just go get a job? And if you're doing something that you hate, you're going to go get a job again because you're not fired up enough to make this, to push through whatever is holding you back. But if you're really in alignment, if you are on purpose and you're doing something that fulfills you, that lights you up, that every morning you wake up like, oh my God, I get to do what I love. I get paid for what I love. Oh my God, I can make such a big difference in what I love. You're going to push through whatever comes your way, because as entrepreneurs, you're going to have all these mindset challenges like, am I really good enough? Can I really do this? Oh my God, I got to talk to clients. I got to ask for money. Oh my God. So you have all this, imposter syndrome coming up. You have all these self-doubt and worries, all these things. So someone that is not on purpose, that doesn't do what really lights them up, is going to go the easy route, going back to get a job. But someone that's really lit up and really is on purpose, they're going to find a way to overcome those mindset challenges, to overcome those inner gremlins that are trying to derail them, and that really pushes through whatever is in their way. So that's why it is so important. And, going back to the story that I shared with you earlier, like when I was not on purpose, including the spiritual side, the Akashic records, the intuitive side in my business, it was like pulling teeth. I kept attracting the wrong clients, the people that wanted to work with me but didn't want to pay me. I've had so many people say, I really want you to be my mentor, but I don't have the money to work with you. But, I can help you in other ways. The whole bartering. I'm like, I'm sorry, I cannot survive on bartering with people. So I kept attracting the wrong kind of people because I was not in alignment. As soon as I became into alignment with doing what I love, what really fulfills me, and the Akashic records, I love doing readings for people because I get to answer people's questions. So that fulfills me. And now people come to me, people reach out to me, which I didn't have before. The first time someone reached out to me and I sold an Akashic record reading just like that, I didn't even have to do no convincing or closing the deal or anything like that. They just said, yeah, I'm interested in a reading. I told them what it was about, how much it was, how much the investment was. Like, okay, let's do this. I'm like, what? And this is what happens when you're in alignment. You don't have to convince people that you are the solution to their problem. You don't have to convince them that you have the answers that they're looking for. They come to you. They already are sold just by paying attention to what you do, but by your vibration, by your energy, because when you are in alignment, you are lit up. And that's what people are drawn to. They come to you because you are that lighthouse with your passion that really draws people in. So going back to the accountant, if you're not, do you think you really are that lighthouse that really attracts people? Probably not. You're probably, scared about way like, what? I got to do your numbers? No, I don't want to work with you. So that's why it's so important to really find something that really lights you up, because that's what will help you in those tough moments when you're ready just to give up. Like, why am I doing this? Screw everything. I'm going to give up my business. I'm going to go get back to get a job, and that's why it's so important to be on purpose, because it will really help you move past that so you can keep moving forward and really do what you're meant to do in this lifetime.
Well, you're making a lot of sense here. And what I'm picking up on from what you're saying here is that there's the external factor and the internal factor. Mm-hmm. The external factor of if you're phoning it in, faking it, you're not really, your heart's not in it, as they say, then someone will pick up on that. And
yes.
And like there's all those subconscious things, or like the vibe that you give off, all that sort of thing, where they can just tell you're not passionate. They can tell you're not dedicated. They can tell that you're just sort of doing it, just going through the motions. And it's hard to fake that sort of stuff, and it's hard to fake that for an entire lifetime. So why fake it? Find the right fit so that way you do what needs to be done. And then that internal factor is that things are always going to get tough. We're always going to have those obstacles, those adversities. And if you're just struggling or plugging away, or you're just kind of waiting for things to pan out, then you're going to give up at some point. Maybe not at the first roadblock or the second roadblock, but at some point you'll give up, and then maybe spend a lot of time or did a lot of work on something that just didn't go anywhere. And so it makes more sense to find that thing where you get paid to do what you love, or do that thing that you maybe would have done for free, but then getting paid for it, making a living at it, is the ultimate dream. And then that way you can take those risks and be bold and get to that place that you want to get to. And you mentioned a few times, and we mentioned in your bio, this thing called Akashic Records. And right before this call, I was curious about that, and I looked this up about this like multiple lifetimes, and about like all the emotions that we will eventually feel. And it sounded really spooky, and I have to admit I was kind of confused by it. So can you explain this concept of Akashic Records? Because it sounds really cool, and it sounds really like kind of spooky and mystic and spiritual in a good way. So what the heck is it?
Yes. And I get that a lot. I mean, whenever I talk to people that don't really get that, they look at me like I lost my last marbles. But the Akashic Records, like basically it's your soul's library of all lifetimes. Like with the Akashic Records, you can ask questions, you can heal on a soul level, you can heal karmic things from a past lifetime. So if you're believing in past lifetimes, then you might know that your soul brings with it stuff that it learned from a past lifetime, karmic patterns, cords, even so attached souls. I mean, it's more on the woo-woo side, and not everyone really gets that, but it can help you in so many levels. So for me, the way I use it is I tap into a person's records to give them answers, guidance, divine guidance. I mean, I also channel like beings of the light and stuff, but you can get guidance around so many different things. Like I have gone into my records to heal myself from past choices that I made, things that you learn. For example, if right now, today, you're still struggling with money, and no matter what you do, it's not helping, you're not making more money, and you want to know, where is this coming from? This could be something that happened in a past life where you made a choice that you always want to struggle for money. Maybe in a past life you were rich and you hated that life. So now you want to experience how it is not to be rich and to always struggle for money. Or maybe in your current lifetime, maybe as a child, you made certain choices from things that you learned from your parents, from, economy, whatever it is, that made you choose to struggle for money. Maybe you grew up thinking, well, rich people, they're evil because they're rich. They have all this money. They're horrible people. And now you resist making money because you bought into the belief that rich people are evil. So you can go into the records to find out, where did you make a choice that is affecting you today? You can heal in the records to let go of that stuff. Like before, I was working on with EFT, the tapping on stuff, but then you have to really know what is really holding you back. With the Akashic Records, you can tap into that to find out what is holding you back. Now, the way I use the Akashic Records is moving forward with helping my clients with figuring out, how can they really take the business off the ground? What's their divine purpose? What is their core message? Who are they meant to serve? What are the most aligned action steps to move forward? What's holding them back from stepping into their purpose? What are their fears? And even taking the business to the next level, like what are aligned offerings that they can offer? So you can ask just about any question that you have, and you can get guidance within the records. So the records is like, think of it as like a crystal ball. You have a question, you get an answer. Sometimes you might not like the answer because you're getting nothing but the truth. And the truth sometimes stings, sometimes hurts. But when you know the truth, then you can take the right actions in alignment. Like I said, like I mentioned earlier, with being in alignment, so many people, they take actions because they think it's the right thing. but it might not be what they are meant to do. And by getting guidance within the records, you will know. I mean, it takes time out of trying to figure the stuff out yourself. I mean, if I would have known, to when I first started out in 2012 that I'm supposed to go into the spiritual world, guess what? It would have cut back, on 2012 to 2018, 6 years, right? So it took me 6 years to figure out what I am supposed to be doing. So if you think about 6 years, if I would have known that back then what my path was, I mean, maybe I wasn't ready at that time, but that's 6 years. I would have been so much further along. And I see so many people, they struggle with figuring out who are they meant to work with? What is their niche? So many people don't even choose a niche because they don't want to narrow it down. So by getting all that guidance within the records, you have all the answers that you need to move forward in alignment with what you're meant to do. So I hope that answers your question. I mean, the Akashic Records, it's everything from past, current, future. It's so amazing what you can do with the records and the guidance that you can get within your records.
And it seems like as you're explaining that a lot of us suffer from the FOMO, as the kids say, the fear of missing out, or the analysis paralysis, or maybe even a little bit of being in denial, right? Like you said, sometimes the truth hurts and we need someone to tell us that we're off course or that we're doing things wrong, so that way we can then correct things. And so these Akashic records, what is it? I mean, what does the process look like exactly? Because when I think you mentioned the term you do a reading earlier, and when someone says they do a reading, I'm picturing tarot cards or something like that. So what is it? What does the process look like exactly?
Okay, so a lot of consultant, Akashic Record consultant, they do a virtual face-to-face kind of session. I am more powerful when it comes to, doing it in written form. So the way I work with my clients is they can either purchase one of my, the Ignite Your Business or Excel Your Business reading, or I also have a 5-question reading where they actually give me the questions. So for the 5-question one, they give me the reading. For the other 2 that I have put in place, I have set questions that I will answer. So basically, they give me their name as it appears on their driver license. They give me permission. They send me a little statement. I give Kay Sanders a permission to access my records, because there's free will. I cannot access someone's records without their permission. Then what I'll do is I take my little writing paper, pen, and I sit down. I access their records. They don't even have to be there, and then I channel whatever the record keepers, the beings of light, want them to know based on the questions. So if it's the 5-question one, they're giving me the questions on whatever question they want answers to. If it's one of my 2 reading packages that I have available, then I just use those 16 to 20 questions and I ask them within the records, whatever guidance I get, I write it down and I send it to them in a PDF report, so they have that they have something in hand. Because one of the things that I didn't like about the virtual one is because they would have to re-listen to the entire thing. I didn't like that. So I was guided to do it in a written form, because sometimes when you get clear answers, you have to sit with it. And every client that I've had so far, it took them a couple of days for them to actually set up a follow-up call with me to kind of go over the question, because they literally have to sit there and soak it in. Because like I said, you're getting nothing but the truth. And sometimes the truth stinks, right? So basically you get the written report, then we have a follow-up call to kind of go over the questions. Go over the answers so I can give you additional guidance on the deeper meaning of the answers, because sometimes we don't really see or hear what we really get. So that's why I have the follow-up call. So basically they're getting a written report of anywhere from between 10 to 20 pages, depending on how much guidance I get about those different questions, that they can then choose to implement or sit on and wait until they're ready to implement it.
Okay, so and so when you mentioned that they send in these questions, I'm not asking for you to reveal all your secrets, but can you give us a taste of maybe what one of those questions would be?
Well, it varies. Some people, they ask about health. Some people ask about their purpose. You can ask about what are your divine gifts, and divine gifts doesn't have to be spiritual gifts. Someone, I had done a reading for someone and their divine gifts was that they can see that spark in someone's eyes. That person is in network marketing and she has that ability to see which person is really in it for the win, and which person is just not so much. So she will not choose to work with those people who are not really in it. So, you can find out about your divine gifts. You can find out about how many lifetimes have you lived. You can find out about, what is what lifetime is affecting you today. You can ask about, moving forward, for example, about your business, who are you meant to work with? What's your core message of your business? Your purpose with your business, your purpose in your life. I mean, you name it. I mean, there's so many questions that you can ask. It's really unlimited what you can ask.
Cool. Mm-hmm. And then when you are providing the answers or giving them the guidance, where does that come from? Does it do you just like thinking it comes from you, or how does it go from the questions to your answers?
It comes through me. I'm a clear channel of a person's record keepers and the beings of light. So I'm pretty sure you've heard of Abraham Hicks, right?
Yes.
She channels higher beings. That's what I do. I channel a person's record. So if I, for example, would go into your records, your record keepers, because every person has a record keeper. So it's like the keeper of the library, basically. So they will tell me. So that's why I do it in written form, because then I do the automatic writing where stuff just flows through me. So I'm getting the guidance from the record keepers, from the beings of light, and whatever comes through me, I write down. So it's not me who actually thinks about the stuff. I put my ego aside. I basically am a clear channel for whatever guidance comes through. So whatever they're telling me, they're writing through me, basically. Through my hand, they're giving the guidance, whatever you or the client is meant to hear about that particular question.
That is super awesome. And what I like about this especially is that you've turn this into a business. Mm-hmm. You've made a living from this. And also, you've been on this journey where before it was EFT and now that's turned into this Akashic record thing. And I'm sure some people out there, maybe they figured out their purpose or they're on track to figuring out their purpose. But then, as you know, there's a little bit of a leap to be taken from, I know what my purpose is, to how will I actually make money from that and turn that into a successful and thriving business? So can you explain to us, as we're in these last few minutes, is beginning to wrap up here, on once people know what their purpose is, how do they then turn that into a business?
Well, I mean, I would always suggest work with someone, work with a coach, that can really help you, or a mentor that can really help you put the right strategies in place. But I want to, point out on the right strategies. I've seen so many people, they teach like Facebook groups and Facebook advertising and this and that and this and that. You want to choose strategies that are in alignment. And what do I mean with that? What you can do is you can use your mind to actually come up with different solutions of different strategies, different projects that you can be working with. But then you want to tune into your heart and think about what feels right to you. What excites you? Because if you're choosing a strategy that you think is the right thing that will help you take your business off the ground, but you're not quite sure it's more like, oh, I have to do this, then you're not in alignment. If you're thinking about a strategy and you get excited, you're like, oh my God, I can't wait. Yes, I want to do this. Then that's a good indicator that you're tapping into your inner guidance, and this is a strategy that is in alignment with you. If you're feeling like, oh, I don't know, I really got to do this and I got to be consistent with that, then it's a good indicator that this is not the strategy for you right now. It doesn't mean that it's never going to be the right strategy. It just means it's not the right strategy right now. So you really want to take actions based on what feels right to you. So don't buy into all these, gurus out there telling you this is a cookie cutter process. You need to do this, and this, and this is what's going to get you the results, because it most likely will not. You might get lucky and it will get you some results, but it's not going to get you the same results because you may not be in alignment with what they teach. For example, me, Facebook, we're having a love-hate relationship right now. But I see all these other people, they're making so much money on Facebook. They're making a big difference on Facebook. It is not working for me. I'm a LinkedIn person, so I'm okay with it. So yes, I hear all these people talking about Facebook groups, Facebook advertising, but I chose not to focus on that because I know it's not in alignment with me right now. Maybe later on down the road, but not right now. So you really want to take actions based on what feels right to you, what excites you, because that's what's going to get you results. If you're taking actions out of desperation, or you think you need to do that, or because someone told you this is the right strategy to use, it's not going to get you the results. So save the time, the agony, the overwhelm, the frustration, and choose actions that feel good to you, that make sense, that excites you, because that's what's going to get you the results. And like I said, you might want to choose to work with someone because it takes time out of, figuring this stuff out yourself. And but like I said, take actions that are in alignment with who you are.
That's making a lot of sense, and it's very reassuring that it's easy to play that comparison game and say, oh, well, this person is doing a lot of Facebook ads, or that person is doing a lot of Instagram marketing, and it's maybe a painful or hard lesson to learn that we're all different, that we're all on our own path, our own journey, and that we need to find that thing that excites us. And I mean, I have my own handful of things that excite me. Like, I'm, for some reason, really good at being a computer programmer. That lights me up, to use your term. And sometimes some things are hard or frustrating, or there are problems to be solved, but I still power through those, and it's still a lot of fun. And I wouldn't stop or give up that dream, or give up creating cool things. I wouldn't stop and give that up for anything. And it feels right, even though sometimes it is work, sometimes it is a struggle, but it's definitely one of those things where it feels like I'm on the right track. I like doing it. And there's sometimes, course corrections, pivoting to be done. And then there's always room to improve and grow, right?
Exactly.
We're on this podcast right now, and I have a lot of guests, and sometimes I'm a little harsh on myself, because I'm like, you know what, I should be hopping on other podcasts, and I hop on a few, but probably not as much as I should, and that's the next thing to go on. But it's like I've definitely reminded myself to not fall into the all or nothing trap, right? It's like, it's never going to be perfect. I'm on the right track. I'm doing those things, and things always adjust, just like how you've adjusted from the EFT thing into the Akashic Records thing. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of mind-blowing stuff happening, at least for me, in our conversation here today. And I'm hoping that people who are listening here, who are maybe feel like, they're tired, or they're wondering, what it's all about, they need to get reinvigorated. I'm hoping people heard and took heed from some of your advice, and that it makes a lot of sense. So if they heard all that stuff and they said, a lot of what Kay said really clicked with me, I want to find out more about her websites, her books, her products, what she has going on, maybe start a conversation. What sort of things do you have for us today, and where should people go after listening to our conversation?
Well, they can go to my website, kaysanders.com. So it's kaysanders.com. And you might want to look into, like, under work with me, I have a tab there that says Akashic Records, just so you can kind of learn a little bit more about the Akashic Records. Because if that sparked your interest, I would really highly suggest have a look at that before you consider, reaching out to an Akashic Record consultant or me, because you should know a little bit about it, so before you make a decision. But, I have everything on my website. You can also get my book, which is called Messages of Inspiration. I turn it into a daily email series, which you can get at messagesofinspiration.com. So you get an inspirational quote each day with an action step. Because one thing, it's great to read something inspirational, motivational, but then what do you do with it? Usually you read it, oh, that's great, but then you don't do nothing with it. So I was actually guided. Also, this is what I got within my records. I was guided to write this book and to create these messages. So all of those messages are from guided, like from my record keepers, from the beings of light that want me to share those, including the action steps. So you can actually take action on whatever the messages that you receive each day. So messageofinspiration.com. But yeah, on my website, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, even though I don't really use Facebook right now, but I'm definitely on there. I'm on Instagram. You look up Kay Sanders and you'll definitely find me. I'm even on YouTube as well. I also have my own show, the Abundantly Successful Show, where I interview other experts on specific topics that really helps conscious entrepreneurs to really take their business into a thriving and successful business. And you can find out more about that at abundantly-successful.com. So that's pretty much it.
Super cool. So lots of places to go depending on what it is that people want. And it doesn't hurt to be aware of whatever new technique is out there in order to get to where you need to go. Some people hire a business coach. Some people go see a therapist. Some people meditate. Some people go to religion. Whatever technique that you need, this Akashic Records might be the thing for you. So check out some of those resources. That's abundantly-successful.com to check out that show. That's messages of inspiration to get your hands on the book. And I like how you made it unique there, because I mean, we've all seen those, motivational quotes on Facebook and things, or Instagram, things like that. And we look at that and say, oh, well, that's cleverly worded, but okay, now what? How do I apply that to my life? It's really awesome that you have the action step in addition to the quote. And then the hub, the most important place for people to go is kaysanders.com. That's KAYSANDERS.com. And if you're interested in getting that dialogue started with Kay, learning more about Akashic Records, click on the Work With Me link to take the next step. So kaysanders.com is a place to go, and we'll see you there. And thanks, Kay, for being open and honest about, your own struggles, your own journey, what you have going on these days, and about the things that you've seen other people need. And I hope that we've helped a lot of people here who need a little bit of that guidance, that course correction. So I appreciate you taking the time and dispensing a ton of knowledge, a ton of things for us to think about. So thanks for doing that.
Well, thanks for having me again. It was definitely a pleasure. And I hope I was able to, give some great value to really, help people think a little bit about, finding their own purpose so they can be more in alignment with what they're meant to do in this lifetime.
Want to listen to more fantastic Marketers of the Day? Subscribe to us at marketeroftheday.com/iTunes and browse past episodes at marketeroftheday.com.